I'm trying to play whack-a-mole here. I'm gonna bring, bro. Stop destroying my infrastructure. How's it going, everybody, and welcome back to Games Over Explained. Today we're going to be playing Power to the People, which is a city builder with a refreshing take on the genre. We're going to go ahead and dive right in to the main campaign, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the game. So the catch with Power to the People is that you are not managing the city directly, but instead you are managing the power grid that supplies energy to the region. So in this campaign mission, we've been hired as a manager for the local electric company in the Jakobstad area. In order to prove yourself, you need to keep customer satisfaction over 50% for 50 days. Remember, the instant that customer satisfaction drops, the game is over. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at what we're working with here. One cool thing about the game is that in between each day, you auto pause and it gives you an opportunity to develop the area around. So all we really need to do is build a power plant. So we will start with that, keeping in mind that our budget is only $200,000 currently. We could go with a biomass plant, which produces 80 megawatts. It's not too bad. We could also go with a gas-fired or coal-fired plant. Let's see, the city requires 7 megawatts. So pretty much anything is gonna be overkill at this point for the city. Let's start with a biomass plant. And we're actually just gonna park it over here on this little peninsula. And there went most of our money. So let's grab a substation, and we're going to need one of these guys in order to supply power to the region. So once we've placed our substation, we need to run some high voltage lines. And then from here, we can use local transmission to get into the city itself and start delivering power. I'm gonna build it like this and then bring it across like that. And then we should be able to go from here. And I normally just line all the roads. I'm not sure if that's the right way to play it, but that's how I've been doing it. And it seems to work pretty well. So that should get us going for the day. We don't need anything else. Stick to necessities. We'll add things like batteries and backup power down the line. So once we press play, the game will sim. And there we go, we've completed our first day. So we can check all of our stats here. Gives you information about how much energy you sold versus how much you generated, your income, and then of course all of the different satisfaction. There is a NIMBY rating, which is not in my backyard. And it basically means that certain people wouldn't want to have a power plant in their backyard, which is understandable, although power is a brutal necessity of the 21st century. So it is what it is. We are going to let it ride one more day because we're doing more than enough here to supply power to the only city that we're working with. You'll see up here in the top right corner that it says a new city is being built in 7 days. So essentially what that means is in 7 days, another city will pop up and we'll have to start balancing. The interesting thing is that substations have limits on how much energy they can have flowing through them. For instance, a basic substation is 50 megawatts, whereas you'll see our biomass plant is producing or can produce 80 megawatts. And of course, the production will be dependent on demand. As demand climbs, it will produce more and supply more and more power to the city. The trick here, of course, is that everything has a limit on how much it can supply. You see here, this low voltage power line can only produce 30 megawatts. So if the area that it's supplying exceeds 30, then we will have a blowout where the transmission line will get overloaded and explode. I am almost certain that that is going to happen this episode because it happened to me multiple times on my previous playthrough. So we are going to have to roll with it and see where it takes us. All right, and so another thing we can go ahead and talk about now is the research menu. As each day passes, you do gain research points, 1 per day in fact. And you can use these research points to develop your tech tree, which is specific to this campaign mission. So what we are able to do is take these guys and convert it. The first thing I'm going to do is add in our reinforced transformers. And then I'm also going to go ahead and add in staff training. The reinforced transformers means that substations can operate at higher capacity for a longer time before exploding. And staff training allows us to reduce our downtime when we have to maintain power plants by 50%. Everything in this game has maintenance in terms of the generators. So when we're looking at the settings menu here, you'll see that we're able to take it down for maintenance immediately, but there's also a maintenance cycle where every X amount of days, we will have to perform maintenance. There are also little events, as you can see, that allow you to, it interacts with the game and changes what the situation or scenario is. So there's different things where maybe somebody develops cryptocurrency or discovers cryptocurrency and they start crypto mining in their house. Then of course that's going to increase your power consumption, so you have to accommodate for that. This one seems to be beavers. The beavers have escaped, so we'll see what that means. I'm not really sure. Some trees are expected to fall around the city. Okay, well, that's not too bad. We can manage that. Trees can fall on power lines, and power lines can get struck by lightning, which means you need to repair them as soon as possible. We will go ahead and let that maintain course. And I actually think what I want to do is I want to go ahead and reserve this line here, because I have found that only allowing a single line to carry the majority of the power results in a lot of overloading in the later game. So we're actually going to bring our power line here just to build in some redundancy. And as you can see, our flow of power is now split between these two main trunks. So we shouldn't have to worry too much about having any overloads over here. The whole point of this game is much like running a real power grid, where you just want to maintain as much balance and parity as possible, so you don't have to worry about overloading anything and leaving towns without electricity. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward a little bit. We're getting close to a second city, which will be kind of where the real challenge starts, and that's maintaining our different power grid, different substations, balancing everything, making sure we have enough diversity in power selection. So let's go ahead and do that. So a new city has been founded, and it is way over here. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to run some high transmission lines. Eventually, I'll probably add more power generation to the region, but for now, this biomass plant is more than capable of producing the power that we need for both of these cities. So we will just go ahead and plop this in. I'm going to get it just a little closer here. Grab this high transmission and run it out. You have to have these substations in between your power generation and wherever you're delivering the power, because it has to step the power down from high voltage to low voltage, just like real substations, and be able to translate this power into something that houses can use. So that's the main purpose of this. High transmission power lines can carry the higher signal, we'll call it signal, across farther distances. And the local transmission, low voltage, they have a lot more loss because they're designed for shorter range. So you don't want to put it too close into the city, because you don't want to stifle the city's growth. And then you see that there's a NIMBY radius as well, which of course I can't see right now, but when you go to place anything, you'll see there's a little circle around that. That is the NIMBY radius, and people will be unhappy if they are within that radius. They can deal with it for the most part, but it will decrease your customer satisfaction, and you want to keep that as high as possible to be able to get the best score on each campaign. So I like to push these guys just a little outside of the town, far enough away that they're not within the radius, but close enough that we can keep these transmission lines going. As you can see, my transmission efficiency is 86%, so it's pretty good. I tend to hover just below 90. I'm hoping one day I'll be able to get that better, but again, still pretty new to the game, so we're figuring it out. So this is our end of day 8. To win, we have to get to 50 days and not drop below 50%, so we are just going to keep managing everything that's going on. We're still only at 15 megawatts over here, so looking pretty good. Plenty of overhead left in our biomass plant, and then this substation's barely working at all. Let's take a look at our research and figure out what we want to do next. So I probably do want to do the high efficiency transformers, mainly because I want to get over to improved cable alloys. So the high efficiency transformers are going to reduce power loss at substations by 25%, which is pretty good. That's pretty good. I mean, it means that we're not going to be losing as much power coming off the generator. So I don't think we're losing a ton right now. Let's take a look. Yeah, so 1.24 megawatt in losses, which is not significant yet, but it can snowball. So let's go ahead and unlock that, which gets us closer to improving our cable alloys, which means that all power lines capacity will increase by 10%. That's what we really want to get to. Let's go ahead and start the day and let this run fast forward. As you can see, we have peak times of the day. You can see the demand trend over here on the left, and that is just showing you what to expect in terms of what the city is going to want. As the day gets colder or hotter, people naturally use more electricity for HVAC, heating and cooling. and things of that nature. It's actually really detailed. I really like this game so far. They even go as far as accounting for, you know, whether or not a society or a culture uses refrigerators a lot, because refrigerators and other high draw appliances are huge consumers of electricity. So it's really refreshing to see the amount of detail in this game, and I really have loved it so far. I promise you this video is not sponsored, but you know, if you guys want to sponsor me, that'd be pretty cool too. No, I really like this game. I've been really excited about it. I've been watching it on Twitter for a while, and I've been really happy to be able to play it and enjoy it. Okay. And if you see, this city is growing. There's some new growth, but because we've covered our roads pretty well, we don't have any disconnected buildings yet, but say they decided to build a road here. I'm gonna go ahead and press play. Say they decided to build a road here and put a building there. We wouldn't have any low transmission lines there to connect them up, so we would need to drag that out. You'll see over on the left side under our power stats that there is unpowered blocks. Currently we're at 0. If that number increases and says 1 or 2, those are buildings that have been built that are not connected into the grid just yet. So we are looking pretty good right now. We're more than enough power being generated. Neither of our substations are getting too rough yet. And then we also have some good entryways in the future into this area. And the reason I say entryways is if you highlight the substation, it'll show you what buildings the substation is currently using, or what they're currently supplying, I guess, electricity to. And so as time goes on, you'll see that this keeps creeping up higher and higher. This is because trend or demand is going up, so it's producing more. But eventually this will get to the point where we're redlining. We'll have to start adding more diversity, which means adding another substation. I'm thinking probably one over here so that we can put power into this way. Oh, 2 critical buildings have no power. What happened here? Down for maintenance, right? Yep, so I wasn't paying attention, and right here, we are pretty much not gonna be able to supply power until this is done because I have not provided any way of redundancy. You can add battery banks and things of that nature as time goes on to store kind of extra power, overhead power. So let's go ahead and slap a couple of these guys down. I'm gonna put them over here. Let's just do 3 for now, and then we'll take our high transmission and we'll just run it like that. And now it's gonna load this pretty hot for a minute because it's trying to charge all of these at once. So hopefully the demand doesn't overdo it. We'll see what happens here. I don't think there's a way to turn off charging yet. There's ways to like turn off other things. You can turn off the biomass plant, and I think you can turn off substations as well, but it looks like you can't turn off the lithium ion battery farms, which means that we're going to have to hope that as we hit this peak over here, we're not losing power again. So my customer satisfaction did drop quite a bit, down to about 89, but now it is climbing back up as I'm providing power to the city again. So it seems that people are happy with the fact that they have power again. As you can see over here, they've developed some new roads. So let's go ahead and add in some low voltage transmission lines. That way they are blanketing the city again. And let's also take an opportunity to take a look over here. Yep, see here, you can see we have 1 disconnected home or building, and we just need to run our power lines out and that will connect right up. Oh, we have full rank on everything. Excellent. So let's go ahead and call it the next day. And see, this is still trying to charge. It's under a lot of load. Hopefully it'll be all right as we finish charging this battery station. We'll find out. There we go. Yeah, we're good. So it was just hitting capacity. I don't think these guys will blow. I think it is only the substations that will blow because once they, this bar actually just indicates how much it can produce, its peak capacity. So once it hits the maximum theoretical output, I think it just sits there on red line and can't produce anymore. And then at that point, you would want to just add more generators. So they've expanded even more over here. I like to try and be preemptive about this and just build out as much as I can. We are going to throw down another battery farm since we only have a single station right now. I want to make sure that we have lots of energy stored up. This generates 51 megawatts and these each store 30. So we're going to let that go. And then we'll charge up that extra battery, and then we'll grab our improved cable alloys as well. since we're here, and we'll let it run for a little bit. We do have a new city coming up in 9 days, so I am excited about that. All right, so it is time to do some improvements. When we hit the peak of the previous day, this substation started getting overloaded. It's possible that this has to do with temperature. As it gets colder or warmer, like I said, it will cause them to draw more energy. So what we're going to do here is, since we have a really clear path to put a low transmission line in, I am going to grab one of our substations. You can use, I keep clicking into the wrong menu. You can use these local substations, which are, well, they're about the same efficiency as the basic substation, but they use, or they have a less maximum output. I consider these to be kind of a budget use case, and maybe if you just needed to patch up some corners. I prefer to use the basic substation outright. We could just go ahead and demolish this old substation and put in an advanced substation, but now is the time to reserve land, because as they build different facilities, you can't really use eminent domain as far as I can tell. And maybe I just haven't figured it out. So I tried to quote unquote reserve land early. That way we have easy connectivity into the city. And so I'm thinking what we should do actually is maybe take, let's see. So we have a power line coming up here that we could put a substation over there, or perhaps we could run no, that's a bit too far of a run. So maybe we'll just put another substation over here, try to run it along the edge of the city and connect it up to there. Yeah, let's try that. So let's grab our basic substation here. We're just gonna put this up in this corner as far as we can. Looks like there is about the only place we can put it. Take our high transmission lines and connect up to the substation. And then we're gonna take our local transmission and bring it just straight up, connect it there. Yep, and you can immediately see that we're now splitting it completely. This has shifted from maintaining the entirety of the city to actually the minority of the city. So that's pretty interesting. But really that's ideal, because you want to keep splitting the load up as much as possible. And you can see the different ways that power is flowing, but I think this is a good balance, and it should reduce the load on that substation quite a bit. This guy's doing fine over here. They haven't really built a lot, but they have expanded this road here. So we're going to add some more local transmission lines, and I think that's going to do us. So let's go ahead and take the opportunity. We're going to hit play and take the opportunity to look at our research menu once again. So it looks like we could do upgraded generators, which increases the power output of all power plants by 5%. We are starting to hit the upper end of what our biomass plant can do, so that may not be a bad idea. We can also do efficient storage, which increases our storage capacity by 25% on all of our battery facilities. And then we can also add high capacity lines, which increases the capacity of all power lines by 30%, but also triples their daily maintenance costs. I don't know if I want to take that on just yet. I think maybe we'll go ahead and increase our generators so that we can produce a little more power off of this biomass plant, because I don't want to invest in critical infrastructure just yet. So let's go ahead and let it play and see what the results of our plant or our substation changes are. Yeah, see, look, that looks great. Before, that was redlining, and you saw this just redlined a little bit as well. We are going to have to add a second plant here in the near future, but I'm trying to hold off as much as possible because I do want to see where this new city is going to be placed. The game can place cities just about anywhere. If it wanted to, it could put it way up here, which is kind of a pain because it's a long run from any of our current existing infrastructure. So we are going to let this play and see where this new city populates. If I hit fast forward, it'll auto stop the fast forward when the new city's built. There it went. And then here's our new city, which is in a perfect place for us. What I do want to do is grab a basic substation, and I'm just going to put it down here. Let's try and back it up just a little bit so it's not right on top of them. Grab our high transmission line, and then I'm going to just bring it across like that. And then we'll bring our low voltage and run it straight. Whoa, that's not quite straight. I want to make sure they make this nice and straight right onto their main road. Across like that, connect like that, and then drag it across like there. And that should do it. Hopefully this isn't too much for our biomass plant. As you can see, we're on backup power right now, but our batteries are more than enough to handle the load, and you can see it's starting to come down. This bar tells you how much you're relying on different sources. So right now we're actually pulling more power from our power plants than we are generating, so we do absolutely need to build another power facility. So let's take a look at that real quick and see what options we have. So we can grab the wind turbines. My only concern with that is it does change based on our wind speed, which isn't the worst because we have batteries that we can rely on days that the wind isn't blowing. But because we're so early, I would almost want to go ahead and just add another biomass facility just so we have plenty of overhead to grow into as the game progresses. And then these are already connected because they're side by side, so that should get us, back to 100% here, and we should be good to go. So let's go ahead and let this sim for a little bit. Oh, never mind. We have one unconnected block over here. I just need to expand this out like that. And then just because we can, we're gonna go ahead and create a loop here. That way it's not completely isolated. And it's almost worth going ahead and adding this loop like that. Yep, before they build anything. Well, I prefer them to be on the road. We're paused here for a second for the midday thing. So let's go ahead and pull those down, and we're gonna grab these transmission lines, come across like that. And then let's just clean this up a little bit. There we go. And that's gonna put a lot of pressure on this specific voltage or this specific transmission line. So I do want to go ahead and add a little diversity here of pathways, which should help us a lot in the future. We do have a road here that needs some lines as well, so let's do that. And that should get us going. So let's take a look over here, make sure we're not missing anything. Yeah, it looks like we're doing all right. All right, let's go ahead and let it run for a minute. So we did have a issue over here with the substation. What is the problem? We're overusing capacity. Because there's a line broken over here. So let's get that fixed. So our draw got too much for the path that we had. Ooh, before they finish building out all this over here, I am gonna sneak another pathway over here. Actually, let's rethink that. Let's pull this off and let's add low voltage transmission path that way. It's a little weird because it's not on the road and it's not the way I prefer to do things, but what happened here was that the substation got overloaded over here, or the line here got overloaded or struck by lightning or something, and ceased to function, which put more strain on this substation over here. So everything kind of has a trickle effect and they all are connected. I'm going to go ahead and add in a couple more batteries just in case we have more power issues in the future. It's never a bad idea to stock up on backup power. We could go ahead and do the molten salt facility. It's about $100 more a day, but it's only 10 more maximum output. So I find those, and they take up more space as well. I find those to be more useful in the late game, but for now I think we're good just using the lithium ion production facilities. So let's go ahead and hit play and see what happens. I'm gonna watch these guys specifically. Yeah, so now that we've added this second line, I think it offloaded a lot of the work that this low transmission area was working on, so that should be good to go. All right, so I did see some stuff happening over here, so before we move forward, I do want to go in and get the energy efficient PSAs, which will reduce our power consumption of residential buildings by 5%. And then we can also do improved insulation or solar panels tax incentives. That will produce their own power, which will reduce how much they're buying from us, but it does alleviate the load off of our grid. But what I would like to do instead is do the improved insulation. It just reduces the amount of power that they need during the temperature swings, which will help. I saw this guy peak, and this guy got really close to peaking. So what we're going to do is we're just going to watch and see what happens on this one and make sure that we're not running into a situation at peak demand, which is just over 100 megawatts. Yeah, both of these guys should be okay because we're producing theoretically 168 megawatts. And so we should be fine. As you can see, it is climbing though. So let's just watch and see what happens. I'm going to fast forward a little bit farther into the peak of the day. So we're at peak demand now. Let's go ahead and let it run. So this is getting close, but it's only at 56 megawatts, give or take, versus this guy, which is running full horse right now. So they switched on the night lights, which is kind of the signal that your peak is starting to run off. Our substations are starting to look a little more under load. We'll probably need to do some changes here again in the future. I'm thinking the next substation will go up here, and then we can use that to connect over here. And then it's almost about time to add a second substation to this town. So we will keep an eye on that. We've been stashing money away like crazy, which is good because we need that cash to be able to fix these problems, especially with a new city on the way in 4 days. But I prefer to save up, see where the city is, and then build based on that and let the game kind of dictate how I'm going to build the infrastructure. So we've made it another day. We're making a substantial amount of profit at this point, which is excellent news because like I said, we do need that money. So let's look at our research real quick. Yeah, I think I'm just going to stash these because what I really want to get to is linesman training at some point, but I kind of want to do this all at once. Linesman training allows repairs to happen faster, which is pretty important, especially with how stormy this area seems to be. We get a lot of lightning, which means that we're at risk of blowing out transmission lines because of storms. I think maybe it hasn't happened. I'm not really sure what happened over here when this one blew out. I think it was a load issue, but we'll find out. Go ahead and fast forward. We're still looking pretty good on power. It's not perfect by any means. This guy is getting increasingly close to peak, but I do want to see where this new city ends up. All right, and it looks like it is time for a new city. So let's go ahead and progress to that point. Oh, I missed a building over here. So let's grab and give them power, and that should, yep, unmet demand 0%. This guy's unhappy because I think I missed it for a while. No, he's unhappy because of their proximity to the substation? No, the battery farms. Yeah, so the battery farms are just a bit too close for their liking, but this is kind of Power Island over here, guys. You're the ones that chose to found your city there. So we're gonna roll with it. Hopefully it doesn't cause us too many major issues down the line. Let's fast forward a little bit to the new city being built. Where did it go? Oh, all the way over here. Wow. Okay, so that, let me think. Let's see. We can add another biomass farm if we wanted to. We could tuck it right here. It's kind of in between the cities. I don't know if it'll be a major issue from a NIMBY standpoint. We could tuck it right there. That'll add a little extra power to our grid, and then we're going to grab another basic substation, and we're going to run it all the way out here. Let's see, maybe right about there. Yeah, so this is offloading because it's going to, these substations are going to draw from whoever's closest. So maybe that wasn't the best of ideas. Either way, let's finish the project that we're working on first, and then we can address any issues that we've created. All right, so we've got a problem with this substation. It's running just a little too hot. So I'm gonna hopefully, we only have one person complaining over here about power issues. So let's try and make it to a pause point, which is coming up here in just a couple hours. And then I'm gonna replace this substation with an advanced substation. It'll give us another 25 megawatts of overhead, which should help us substantially. And then this guy, this shouldn't matter as much that this is running at full hog because it's just gonna pull from these on the back end. Since it's all interconnected anyway, it doesn't really matter that much. So I think we're gonna let that ride. And then here at the 24-hour mark, yep, all right. So let's come in here and we are going to bulldoze this substation. There it goes. And then I want to come in here, grab an advanced substation, and we're just gonna plop that. Let's bring it back just a little bit since we're encroaching on the city at this point, like there. And then we're gonna get rid of this high transmission and change this over to local transmission. We're gonna do like that and that. And then we're also going to go ahead and grab this line here, and I want to bring this across like that and then down like that, and that provides 3 different paths of entry. We're going to be in a tough spot on this side of town for a while, so that's why I want to just try and increase this substation, and if we need to add another basic substation up here or somewhere in between the cities, then we can do so. For now though, it looks like we're doing all right over here. This substation should be more than enough for this town for quite a while. These guys are doing fine as well, and our main town is doing well, though I do think we are going to have to start swapping these out for advanced substation at some point in the near future. We'll find out. Let's go ahead and dig into our research for a second. So let's go ahead and increase our storage capacity. That's a good idea. And we'll go ahead and increase our capacity for the lines. It's going to cost us more money, but it's a good idea just because it's going to be able to transmit more power down the line. We're going to leave this line here. It's not currently being used, but it offers some redundancy. That way, if something fails over here, we have another way to get power around between these 2 different plants or 3 different plants. So So let's go ahead and let it play. We do have a new city on the way in 10 days. Let's see, how many days in are we? 31. So we only have to make it another 19 days and we are in the clear. This is normally the part of the game where it starts getting a little more chaotic, but we have enough money saved up at this point that I think it won't be a major issue. So we had a power line fail due to ice formation, and it says it's very cold, so power lines with low loads are vulnerable to ice formation. So I guess these guys, yeah, they're pretty low load comparative to what their peak capacity is. Let's see, air fried snacks. Internet influencers have started a trend among the people in Jakobstad, and they now skip breakfast in favor of some air fried food right before going to bed, which means that more than likely we're going to have a slight increase of demand before bedtime. We're just going to have to roll with it. I like the challenges because it keeps the game a little more dynamic, though a lot of them don't change it a ton. So maybe that'll be balanced down the line, or maybe that's the intention, just little tiny diversions to throw off your planning. I think so far we're doing pretty well. We'll probably need to add more biomass here in the near future, but as of now, it seems like everything's kind of doing its thing, so we're in a good place. All right, so here's what I was talking about with this increased power consumption. You can see these buildings have these little symbols on them, and that just means that they are using more power, which can also change the flow of your power and where they're drawing from. It looks like 8% higher. I just saw it. There it is. 8% higher power usage due to cold weather. No, that wasn't it. Either way, they are going to use more power, which means that it's going to change the power patterns of how we're delivering our actual power. All right, we're going to do a little bit of maintenance here. I did a little cleanup over here because they've been developing new roads, so I just kind of changed our flow of power a little bit. It's fine. No major changes. Let's grab that one little block there. And I do want to go ahead and add another battery facility, just from the standpoint of we're growing. There's a lot more power use in the city, and I think it's a good idea to expand out. So this should draw a fair amount of power off the grid, hopefully not too terribly much. Oh, these guys are all using a ton of power. Well, let's let it go. Probably should have done the math on that before checking, but we're good. We got enough power generation right now that it's covering us quite well. So let's look at our research and see what options we have. I think we'll go ahead and do power saving lights. It reduces the consumption of commercial buildings 5%. I think that's probably a good idea. Or we could do our linesman training. Yeah, let's do linesman training actually, because we keep getting the cold thing where it's breaking the lines because they're cold. So I think increasing our repair time's not a terrible idea. Looks like they built a building over here I need to grab. There we go. Welcome to the grid, sir. So I think we're still doing okay. We are going to need new power, I think, by the time this new city's built, but for now, it looks like we're doing all right. This guy is getting dangerously close when we account for peaking to no longer supplying enough. So let's actually go ahead and take care of that now. I want to actually build another substation just on the other side of this one, and its purpose is going to be to supply from this place into this city, which should share the load a little bit. Yeah, that's good. All right, that's exactly what we wanted, just breaking it up a little bit so that we're not relying on a single substation longer than we need to. All right, we're down to 11 days left. We do have one of our biomass plants going down for maintenance in 35 hours, but I do think we have enough stored up energy to make it through a single maintenance cycle, so let's find out. We have some unconnected facilities to connect up, so let's take a look at what's going on here. Just need to run this like that, and then what are you unconnected? Oh, because you're facing this direction. Got it. We have some unfortunate timing here. This new city is going to be built in 8 hours, and the biomass plant has to go down for maintenance in 11 hours. So what I was thinking is if I could figure out which biomass facility it is that needs to go down. This one's 18 hours. Wow. So they're all going to be going down here in the near future. Is it you that's going down in 11? Yeah, it's you. Okay. So for this guy, I'm going to go ahead and perform maintenance now. So that way they're already shutting the plant down, going to work on it. It'll shift the draw to these guys, which should give us a window of opportunity to kind of rebalance everything. And then we'll draw off of our backup power for a little bit. So let's let it roll, and then we'll have a new city built, but we can always alleviate that by adding some more plants if we need to. Yes, these guys are running a little hot, but that's all right. All right, and our new city has been built, and of course it is way far away. So we're going to have to build a substation out here in the middle of nowhere. It's actually not the worst location, I think, because we can, let's see, bump this over to here. And then what we'll do is we'll grab our high voltage, and we should be able to just bring this out like that. I think that lines up. Let me see. Oh, very, very not lined up, but that's all right. We'll just bring this across like that. And that is going to give us our substation where we need it. And then we'll just run our power from here. And that should supply this area with power, basic substation. And it's pulling off these guys over here. And if we need to add another biomass plant, I think we'll be able to plop it in over here. Let's take a look for planning purposes. Yeah, so anywhere it's near water, it should be fine. So if we need to, worst case scenario, we can tuck one in over here, and then we'll continue to build out our battery backups. So it does look like we're running a little hot. Yep, there it went. All right, so it's time to diversify this area because we have way too much power coming in off of these. So let's grab another substation. There it goes again. I'm gonna have to keep playing whack-a-mole here until I get this situation sorted. I'm gonna bring power in there and power in here, and that should get us connected enough that it won't be a major issue moving forward. And that's just because we have increased our line capacity actually, so that was just a lot of power coming through there. Oh, they opened up a shopping mall, that's why. Look how bright that thing is. No wonder you guys are blowing the lines. Great work. So it looks like we are no longer on storage facilities, which is great. We're generating enough power, which means that the biomass plant, oh, it is down for maintenance currently, but it's still doing all right. So that works. All right, let's take a look real quick. How are we doing over here? This is 50 megawatts generating off of this thing. I'm wondering if we don't want to go ahead and run this high voltage up and around and just add another substation over here. This town isn't quite big enough to justify it, but I'm wondering if it's just not a bad idea. Let's see, how many days left do we have? We only have 9. All right, let's go ahead and just to make sure that we're not having any major issues, let's add a little local substation up here. That way it's not directly in the line of sight for these guys. And we're just gonna run this power line through here like that. And then we're gonna run it across like that. Actually, I wanna kind of bring it in like this. There we go. Just like the aesthetics of it a little more, I think. Not really sure why I wanted to make that decision. But there we go. Now we have a shared load. Wow. It's taking a lot more load than I thought it would. Hopefully it won't be an issue in 9 days. We can tinker with that as needed. So let's make sure these guys are doing all right over here. Still pretty good. These guys are just going to get swapped out for advanced substations should we need to do any changes on them at all. So this, I don't know if you saw that briefly. This got a little hot. So I'm wondering if we should go ahead and split this up just a little bit so there's multiple paths because we do have power coming in from both sides. So I do want to kind of grab this, line it up, bring it down, and that should provide a little more diversity in the power. Yeah, there is a little bit of power flowing through there. Not a lot, but at least there's extra. That way, if that does blow, we have a little bit of backup plan built in. So it looks like we are relying a little bit on our storage facilities. Let's give it one more day and see if that doesn't go up a little bit. So we're at 96% charge. Let's see how we do. All right, so we're at 92%, which means we're definitely not creating enough power. So we do have a few things we need to do maintenance-wise. Let's get this guy done. That should connect those blocks. This substation got really hot for a minute there. So I am going to bulldoze this original substation. It's time for an upgrade. And we're just gonna drop in an advanced substation, make sure everything's connected back up. Yep, looks good. All right, and that should supply enough overhead. I think we'll probably do the same over here. Yeah, I think it's probably a good idea. Just to make sure that we're not finding ourselves in a situation. We certainly have the money for it. I don't think there's a reason not to. Except for maybe if this doesn't fit. There we go, it's good. All right, so now we have 2 advanced substations supplying power there, so that is resolved. We need to resolve our power generation questions, which is gonna be a pretty simple fix here. I'm thinking that because it's snowy and kind of always not super sunny here, that green energy isn't really a huge boon right now. So let's go ahead and drop in another biomass plant. And that's just going to provide a little extra energy over there. And then since we're adding a biomass plant, we'll go ahead and continue to outrageously overbuild our battery backups. So let's drop that in there. That's just 2 of them. That should be plenty. So I noticed that we're kind of putting a lot of pressure on these lines over here. Doesn't seem like it's doing much currently, but I think there's going to be a chance that it will. So I do want to build in a little more redundancy over here. Just in case. You guys know me, I'm a little paranoid. I just want to make sure that we're not risking any potential blowouts. I'm starting to regret using a local substation because it's really pulling off most of the load. So I think the smart way to deal with this is just to get rid of this local substation entirely, and we'll swap it out for a basic. Oh, it's in city limits now, so I have to readjust where the power goes. Let's do that, and then our high transmission, let's back this up to here and bring it across like that, and that should do it. Ooh, I can't because we're in city limits, so let's do that. Yeah, once city limits expand like that, you can't really build a lot of stuff inside of it except for these low voltage transmission lines, so you have to be really careful about where you place things. This is kind of close, but at least it's supplying some power, and then we have this backup over here. This isn't the most ideal setup. I really kind of choked it a little bit there, putting the basic substation so close, but you know, it is what it is. So we did have a power line fail. Luckily, we have our fast repairs, so we should be able to bump that back up and reduce our downtime once again. Is there any research we can do to stop power lines from freezing? I haven't actually come across that yet. Yeah, so it doesn't really look like it just based on a cursory glance. That's all right. I'm sure they'll add more stuff to it, and maybe it's part of the challenge. I just need to be better about building in more redundancy. It's entirely possible. So let's go ahead and do power saving lights since we already have the research points, and we'll do the tax incentive for the solar panels just to kind of limp us along to the end. All right, so we did just have an issue with a power line failing over here, which tells me that I need to add a little more redundancy into this area. So I'm gonna bring this power out like this and really just want to connect it up like that. And that just diversifies the amount of pathways in. It was failing here, but this looks like it's gonna carry it out and around, which is great. That's what we want. And that should do it for us. So let's see where we are at. The city is really encroaching on my biomass plant. It's a good thing I'm not playing this much longer than 50 days. Otherwise, I'd probably need to move that. So it looks like we actually have an event going on right now. That is power lines in Koski might be damaged. So we just need to keep an eye on that. There's some sort of protest over pizza, I think is what the flavor text said. So we're gonna center up on them and let it go. They seem to be really focused on destroying this specific power line here, so I've added a little diversity just to... Oh, come on, guys. I'm trying to play whack-a-mole here. I'm gonna bring... Bro, stop destroying my infrastructure. I'm gonna build another one over here, build some more redundancy there, and let's see, what else can I do? Are you kidding me? This isn't a load issue, right? This is because of the event? Yeah, no, this is just because they keep destroying my power lines. Like, come on, guys, give it a break. Let's connect up there as well. I just want to make sure that I'm bringing different diversified power in from everywhere. That way, if they do destroy one of my power lines, we don't lose power. That's the goal anyway, or just minimize the amount of power that we lose, or amount of places that lose power, I should say. Are you serious? Let me go ahead and repair that. Oh my gosh, this is insane. I've never had an event that actually did that much. Normally they're pretty benign. So I'm kind of fascinated with how this is playing out here. So we're almost to... Stop it. Oh my gosh. How long until this event's over? About to end. Thank you. So let's make sure we're not losing any more here. Come on, repair that, guys. There we go. All right. That event's finally over, so we don't have to stress over that anymore. But that was certainly something. Not my favorite event, I think. All over pizza too, which is crazy. So we are officially on day 50. So let's go ahead and get started. I think we're gonna be okay. This feels like a pretty good run. It's this run is definitely stronger than my last go of it when I did it off screen to kind of practice. The last thing I'm gonna do is run an ad campaign just to make sure our customer satisfaction stays at 100% to make it through this last little jaunt, and then we're gonna fast forward. And that's it, we did it. Let's see, our total score was 177,022. Not bad. There's some people out there that are scoring like 300,000, but I am definitely not that talented at the game yet. I'd like to be though. And that brings me to my next point. If you guys enjoyed this video, please let me know by giving the video a like and commenting saying, hey, I really like this game, I want to see more of it. I am extremely interested in playing more of it, so I would love to see where you guys stand on it. If you want to see more content like this in the future, please consider giving me a subscribe. I do release multiple videos a week, and I would love to have you. So, this was Games Over Explained, playing Power to the People, and we'll see you next time.